Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about one of the most practical skills you can develop when working with AI, breaking down complex tasks. If you've been following the series, you've learned the fundamentals of how AI works. Now we're getting into technique, the stuff that actually improves your results immediately. Here's a scenario that happens constantly. You've got a real problem to solve. Maybe you're trying to plan a project, develop a strategy, create some content. Whatever it is, it matters to you. So you open up ChatGPT or Claude, you type out everything you need, hit enter, and the result is disappointing, generic, surface level, misses the mark completely. And here's what's frustrating. You gave it plenty of context. You were specific about what you wanted. You did everything you thought you were supposed to do. So why didn't it work? The problem almost never is that AI isn't capable of helping with what you're asking. The problem is that you've asked it to juggle 10 things simultaneously. And just like a person trying to carry a stack of boxes that keeps getting taller, something's going to fall. AI can't gracefully multitask any better than we can. When you overload a prompt with multiple objectives, it has to split its attention. And when attention gets split, quality suffers across the board. Let me show you what I mean. Look at this request. Analyze my business strategy, identify weaknesses, research competitors, suggest improvements, and write a marketing plan. Count the verbs. Analyze, identify, research, suggest, write. That's 5 completely different types of thinking packed into one prompt. Each one pulls AI into a different direction. Strategic analysis requires different patterns than competitive research. Research requires different patterns than recommendations. Recommendations require different patterns than writing. When you ask for all of this at once, AI has to make constant trade-offs about where to focus. The result? Everything gets watered down. You get shallow analysis, generic recommendations, and surface level writing. So here's the core principle that transforms results. One clear objective per prompt. Not 2 objectives, not 3, 1. This isn't about making your prompts shorter. It's about making them focused. A well-focused prompt can be quite detailed. It just has to be driving toward a single clear goal. And why does this work so much better? Well, there's 3 reasons. First, focused requests activate stronger patterns. Remember from video 1, AI is fundamentally a pattern completion system. When you give it a focused task, it can direct all of its processing toward the patterns relevant to that specific objective. There's no confusion about which direction to go. Second, there's less room for drift. When a prompt contains multiple objectives, AI has to guess at priorities and make assumptions about what matters most. Single objective prompts eliminate that ambiguity. AI knows exactly what success looks like. Third, you stay in control. When you break a complex task into steps, you guide the direction at each stage. If step 2 goes off the track, you correct it before moving to step 3. You're not waiting until the end to discover that the whole thing missed the mark. Now, not all complex tasks are the same. There are actually 2 different types of complexity, and recognizing which one you're dealing with helps you decompose effectively. Sequential tasks are steps that build on each other. Think of like baking a cake. You can't frost it before you bake it. Order matters. Each step creates the foundation for the next. Parallel tasks are multiple unrelated objectives that got bundled together. They don't depend on each other, but they all got lumped into one prompt because they're vaguely related to the same topic. These need to be separated and handled individually. Let's look at a sequential task. Someone says, write a blog post about AI. Seems simple, right? But that request actually contains at least 5 distinct steps. First, you need to choose your angle and audience. Are you writing for beginners or experts, technical or accessible? This decision shapes everything that follows. Then you create an outline, the structure and flow of ideas. Then you write the introduction, the compelling hook that draws readers in. Then you draft the body sections, developing each main point with supporting details. Finally, you write the conclusion, synthesizing the key takeaways. Each of these stages requires different thinking. If you try to do them all in one prompt, AI will rush through each stage to get to the next. But if you handle them sequentially, each step can get full attention. Now, let's look at parallel tasks. Someone asks AI to help me with marketing. That's not one thing, it's at least four separate paths. Social media content has its own strategy, tone, and platform constraints. Campaigns require different thinking about segmentation, subject lines, and calls to action. Website copy demands clarity and conversion focus. Ad strategy involves targeting, messaging, and budget allocation. These tasks don't build on each other, they're just related by topic. Each deserves its own focused conversation. So, how do you actually decompose complex tasks? Here's a simple framework. First, define the end goal. What's the actual outcome you're trying to achieve? Not the process, not the steps, the final result. Get crystal clear on that. Second, identify the major pieces. What are the distinct components needed to get into that outcome? Don't overthink this, just break it into logical chunks. Third, determine what order makes sense. Do these pieces build on each other? Is there a dependency where one has to happen before another? Or are they parallel? Fourth, start with piece one. Execute that first step with complete focus. Don't even think about step two yet. That's it. Simple framework, massive impact on quality. Now let me show you a real example of how this plays out. Here's the wrong approach. Create a hiring process for my company, including job descriptions, interview questions, evaluation rubrics, and onboarding checklist. That prompt asks for four major deliverables. Each one is complex enough to deserve its own attention. When you ask for all of them at once, you get shallow, generic outputs across the board. Cookie cutter job descriptions, standard interview questions, basic rubrics, generic checklists. Nothing useful. Now, watch what happens when we decompose this. Start with the foundation. What are the 5 to 7 most important skills for a specific role? Notice how focused this is. We're not asking about job descriptions or interview questions yet. We're establishing the foundation, identifying what actually matters for success in this role. This single objective prompt lets AI dedicate its full capability to thinking through the competencies that drive performance. You get thoughtful analysis instead of generic filler. Now, we build on that foundation. Based on those skills, write 3 interview questions that assess skill one. See what's happening? We're not starting from scratch with interview questions. We're leveraging the work we just did in step one. The questions emerge directly from the critical skills we identified. This creates coherence. Everything connects. And because this prompt has one clear objective, creating targeted questions for one specific skill, the output is focused and relevant. Then we continue building. Step 3, create evaluation rubric for rating answers to those questions. Step 4, design onboarding checklist for someone with those skills. Each step leverages what came before. Each output informs the next. And because each prompt has singular focus, each piece gets the attention it deserves. The result? A cohesive, high-quality hiring process that actually reflects the specific needs of the role. Compare that to the generic garbage you'd get from the original all-in-one prompt. So when should you decompose a task? Here are the 4 clear signals. First, if you're asking AI to research and create, these are fundamentally different activities. Analysis needs different patterns than production. Mixing them dilutes both. Separate them. Second, if you're asking AI to analyze and recommend, understanding a situation requires different thinking than advising on it. Do the analysis first, then use those insights to generate recommendations. Third, if you're asking for multiple unrelated things, even if they're vaguely connected by topic, different objects need different focus. Split them apart. Fourth, if what you're asking involves more than 3 steps, complex multi-step processes need methodical breakdown. Don't try to compress a 5-step workflow into one prompt. Now, when a single prompt is totally fine, when you have one clear task with a focused objective, no sequential steps required, and straightforward output, write a professional email declining this invitation. That's one thing. No need to break it down. Categorize these customer complaints by topic. One clear task. Run it. Explain blockchain to a 10-year-old. Single objective, straightforward output. Perfect for one prompt. The key is recognizing the difference between a focused task and a complex request disguised as one question. Now, there's another benefit to decomposition that ties back to something we covered in video 2, context windows. Remember, AI can only see a limited amount of text at once, its context window. When you pack multiple objectives into one prompt, you're filling that window with complexity. AI has to track everything simultaneously, which leaves less room for deep engagement with any single piece. When you decompose tasks, you clear that window. Each focus prompt gets maximum context for quality thinking. It's like clearing your desk before starting important work. You remove the clutter so you can actually concentrate. Here's a common misconception people have when they first learn about decomposition. Oh, I just need to make that piece really detailed. No, that misses the point entirely. Detail doesn't equal decomposition. You can write a massively detailed prompt that still contains 5 different objectives. Adding more detail doesn't fix the core problem of split focus. Each piece must still have one clear objective. Decomposition is about separation, not elaboration. It's about isolating distinct goals, not adding more description to a complex request. All right, so here's your action plan. Next time you get disappointing results from AI, follow these 4 steps. First, look at what you asked for. Pull up your original prompt and review it objectively. Pretend you're seeing it for the first time. Second, count the objectives. How many distinct goals are packed in there? Be honest, every "and" is suspicious. Third, split into single objectives. Separate each goal into its own focus prompt. This might feel like more work up front, but it's faster than wrestling with bad outputs. And fourth, run them sequentially. Execute one at a time, building as you go. Use the output from step 1 to inform step 2. Let's build it naturally. This simple framework will transform your results. I'm not exaggerating. This is probably the single most impactful change you can make to how you work with AI. All right, that's task decomposition, part of the Making AI Make Sense series where we're building genuine understanding of how AI works and how to use it effectively. If you found this useful, subscribe so you get notified when the next video drops. We've got more practical techniques coming. And if you need help applying these principles to your specific business challenges, maybe you've got a complex workflow you want to optimize, or you're trying to figure out where AI actually fits in your operations, let's talk. Head to eauclairai.com and we can work through it together. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.